Hey ladies and gents, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for coming back. Yes, ladies and gents, you have seen the title. I have seen all the Best Picture nominees now, and I'm going to rank them from, I would say, worst to best, but this is one of the very rare years where I like all the nominees. I'd give the lowest film on this list, I gave a 7 out of 10. I really like all the nominees, so I would actually say I'm ranking it from bottom to top, because I think they're all very good honourable nominees, and I think they're all deserved Best Picture nominees, all of them. But before we get into this list, ladies and gents, please remember to like, subscribe and comment if you're next generous, just to ding that little bell. And also, please remember to scan these barcodes, go to links in the comments, or follow the names down on your screens to follow my social medias. With that, ladies and gents, let's get right into the list. And please don't kill me. But coming at number 8, I'm afraid to say, is The Sound of Metal. Now, I really like The Sound of Metal. I think it's one of the best actor films of the year. Paul Raci is my favourite supporting performance of last year. I think it's directed wonderfully, and I think the writing's fantastic. The reason why Sound of Metal comes at the bottom for me is for 2 reasons, really. One is that during kind of the middle of the film, when he's been in this deaf community for a little while, the film did drag on a little bit for me, to be honest. Whenever it wasn't Paul Raci on the screen, it was more Riz Ahmed just kind of interacting with people. I did get a bit fed up, to be honest, and I was wanting them to pick up the pace a bit. And number 2, this along with the number 7 on the list, I just have no urge to go and watch again. And that's something, whenever I'm thinking about my favourite films of the year or my favourite films of all time, that's what I'm really looking for. A film that I either really, really admire, or a film that I know I just would happily watch every day over and over and over again. And Sound of Metal just isn't that for me. And for that reason, it's really unfortunate, but it had to come at the bottom, even though I respect Sound of Metal greatly. And yet again, my screen is on behind me, so I'm going to turn that off. I can't believe I'm living in a world where one of my favourite film directors' film is coming near the bottom of one of my lists. But my number 7 is David Fincher's Mank. Like Sound of Metal, amazingly directed, fantastic acting, brilliant writing, amazing sound design. The directing's amazing, the acting's amazing, the cinematography is lush, the editing is great, the sound design is incredible. The reason why Mank comes in the bottom, though, is for the same reason of The Sound of Metal. I admire it greatly. I think technically it is a fantastic film, but Mank's just an inaccessible film, and that's not an issue for me. There are some films which would be classed as inaccessible, which I love and are amongst my favourite films, but Mank's just one of those films that, like, you watch it once, you admire it greatly. I have no interest in watching Mank again, nor do I think it has anything to say about the times we live in. It's not really an important film. It's not really an enjoyable film, really, either. It's just a film you watch, you admire, but I'm never going to watch Mank again. And I want to see David Fincher win his Oscar eventually, because he is my favourite film director. This year, I don't want it to be for this, because he's not going to win anyway. It's going to be Chloe Zhao's. But say if there was a DGA upset and then he went to win the Oscar.
Okay, I should probably mention now that I recorded this a month ago, but decided to postpone it for later. So if you hear any time inaccuracies, it's because the ceremony's probably already been. Okay, thank you.
I may actually be a bit disappointed because 1, I want Chloe Zhao to win, and 2, it would just be so underwhelming to see him win for this, because Mank just is far and away from his best work. Nonetheless, I respect Mank greatly. I just don't want to watch it again, therefore I can't put it any higher than this. Here's another one which is going to shock you all. I can't believe that Minari's coming at number 6, but coming at number 6 is Minari. This, from 6 to 1, I love all these films. They are 8 to 9 out of 10 rated films. I think they're all great, and I would happily watch any of these films again right now. Minari comes in at number 6 for me, though. Just what a heartwarmer Minari is. The best thing I can say about Minari is it's just a cute, heartwarming film that, like, I just can't see anybody hating. It may not be a film that a lot of people like love necessarily, but if you don't at least like Minari or appreciate it's a good film, I wonder like why you're into film, because Minari is just one of those films that you don't hear much about. It comes out of a film festival and it just takes everybody by storm, me included. Alan Kim is one of the most underrated performances of last year. I would have happily seen him get into supporting actor. Stephen Young deserves all the credit he's getting. Yeri Han deserved a lot more hype as well. The directing is on point. It is written beautifully, just at a very nice pace. Same can be said for the editing. The cinematography is great, and so is the score. And Minari comes in at number 6 because I guess more than anything else, what it comes down to is the film that maybe out of all of these I enjoy the least, and it's also probably the one that inspires me least, and that's what I really look for whenever I'm ranking or looking for my favorite films. Nonetheless, if Minari is available to rent where you are, or it's in cinemas, or it's at a film festival that you can pay or get for free, whatever, treat yourself to Minari. It really is just a cute film that you can just watch with the family, and just it makes you feel so gooey inside. You just love Minari. Coming at number 5, some people will agree with me for this, some people will hate me for this. Coming at number 5 is our probable Best Picture winner, Nomadland. Nomadland is just the technical film of the year. I like Nomadland a lot. Frances McDormand gives one of my favourite performances of last year. I think all of the supporting cast on Nomads went severely overlooked. I would have loved to have seen a SAG Ensemble, a Critics' Choice Ensemble nomination for them. David Strathairn, for his brief but amazing performance, kills it. I wouldn't have been disappointed if he made it in a surprise nomination. And Chloe Zhao, what a director she is. I can't believe before this film I wasn't aware of her. I've seen The Rider now and I think it's great, but I should have been familiar with her way before this. She is a phenomenal director. The directing in this film is insane. She deserves all the sweeps she's getting, and I sincerely hope she goes on to win the Oscar. And let's face it, she probably will. Nomadland comes in at number 5 though for me, because I just don't want to watch Nomadland that much, really. I wanted to put it at number 5 because I said the same thing about Sound of Metal and Mank. It is such a great film and it deserves more. It deserves to be honoured more than just to be put in that position, because I think it's a great film. But ultimately, I inspire to it greatly. If I ever became a director, I would look at Nomadland for kind of direct inspiration. But is it a film that I want to put on when my family's around as a background film? No, it doesn't really reflect me or the type of films I like. Nonetheless, Nomadland is a great film that anybody who's interested in film should watch. My number 4 to 1 are just god tier level films to me. I love all of these films, and I'd be happy if any of these won Best Picture. I honestly would. These are my 4 favourites for Best Picture. Yes, I know Nomadland isn't amongst these. I am sorry. But still, this is my list, this is my opinions. Yeah, this is my channel. But coming in at number 4 is Judas and the Black Messiah. What a well-paced, thrilling, well-acted film this was. This was The Departed meets Internal Affairs, meets 1960-70, meets real-life Fred Hampton case. This film is just everything I wanted to be and more. Just thrilling, well-paced, violent, amazing acting. And I've got to say, I love Daniel Kaluuya, and I want and hope and I think he will win the Oscar. That Lakeith Stanfield surprise, even though it wasn't supporting, was just the best nomination. Someone who I think went severely underrated and was my favourite performance in the film was Jesse Plemons. Jesse Plemons is one of the best character actors I think working today. With this, American Made, Vice, Breaking Bad, I really hope Jesse Plemons turns into a Philip Seymour Hoffman. Not in that way, but he's just such a good character actor, and I really hope he has that big breakout role where everyone goes, shit, Jesse Plemons, because he is an actor to look out for. Jesse Plemons, you have my love, mate. Right, number 3, it was, in my opinion, the film that had the best message, something that's dear to me because of my upbringing, is Promising Young Woman, a film that reflects the attitudes that men, even of my generation, and the one above, and maybe even the other below, have towards women. This kind of toxic view that even though they think that women's rights are fair, they still treat them like shit. They still have this like kind of view of like we're superior in some sort of way. And it was just so nice to see Promising Young Woman delve into a way that I haven't seen before, because we've seen films, rightfully so, that kind of go into like purely like, you know, women not being paid enough, or like the suffragettes, etc., etc. For a film like Promising Young Woman to explore it, like how in racism you see it in terms of like people being described as the black man, etc., etc. Promising Woman does it in a way where it looks at the little things and shows how much of a big deal it is. So like men taking girls home back to their place because they're a nice guy when actually they just want to have sex with them. It really kind of just, it kind of holds you as a man by the neck and just aggressively makes you responsible for what you're like, and I respect Promising Woman greatly for that. Beyond that, written and directed incredibly. Emerald Fennell's my pick for Best Original Screenplay. Harry Mulligan's my pick for Best Actress. Bo Burnham would have been a nice supporting actor nominee. I just think Promising Young Woman is a film that everyone needs to see and not just reject because like it makes them feel bad about themselves, but learn from it, because Promising Young Woman is one of the best films of the year. My number 2 and 1 could be my number 1, but I had to choose between the two and I struggled desperately. But coming in at number 2 by a hair is The Trial of Chicago 7. People are gonna like me for this. A lot of people do kind of view Trial of Chicago 7 in a bad light. But to be fair, I think that has to do with the fact that a lot of people know that along with Promising Young Woman, are the big bad bulls rivals to Nomadland until the end, basically, because you never know what's going to happen with the Oscars. But I think that's really unfair because even though I think Social Network should have won over The King's Speech, it will be like The King's Speech where it doesn't change the fact that they're both great films and you need to respect them for just being how great they are, because Aaron Sorkin just has his way of making a courtroom drama which can be really boring and shitty and just like a TV film into a fast-paced, thrilling film where you care about the characters. And Trial of Chicago 7 is just a film that I love. Like, yeah, maybe it's not as like good as these other films, but it's just probably the most rewatchable in my opinion. I think it's acted phenomenally. I think Sacha Baron Cohen does give the best performance. Him and Mark Rylance equally. I think it's very well edited. The directing isn't anything special, and I won't say it deserved a nomination. And to be fair, I'm glad it didn't get a nomination, but don't change the fact it's very competent, and I think Aaron Sorkin does have the ability to genuinely become a great director, and its screenplay is fucking fantastic. I'd rather see Promising Young Woman win over this, but if this does win, you know what? I'll make do with it. I like the screenplay greatly. So you know what? You're not going to like me for this, but Trial of Chicago 7, my hat's off to you. Now, this is my number 1 film of not only of these rankings, but maybe of films that came out last year, of the film that really just emotionally touched me the most. That was a proper experience, that took me on an emotional journey. The film that I felt like was coming from the most genuine place has to be The Father. I've got to admit, I only saw this a couple nights ago at a Borderline Film Festival, and maybe it will die down for me over time. But at the moment, I've got to be honest, I'm on this hype train that The Father's on. I really loved The Father. It didn't seem like a film. When Florian Zeller wrote his play and then eventually wrote the adapted screenplay for this film, it didn't feel like a film, or maybe even a play, even I haven't seen the play, that wants to kind of exploit dementia and just try and make it its own thing. You can tell Florian Zeller, whether it's through personal experience or great research, he's coming from a real, pure, genuine place. This film doesn't feel fake at all. Beyond that, I think its directing went severely overlooked. Its editing is incredible. It's my pick for best editing for the Oscars. Olivia Colman's my pick for best supporting actress. Anthony Hopkins my pick for best leading actor, even though I will happily see Chadwick Boseman win. I was just blown away by this film emotionally and on a technical level, how it's made. I just don't understand how you can't love The Father. It's just a film that's so pure, and if you've got a heart and you love the people around you, love your family, and you know how you'd feel if this was going through it, or you know people going through this is a film that even if you struggle with it for a personal reason, you will just respect greatly. And I think anyone with a decent heart will at least see where this film's coming from. And The Father just is incredible. It's my pick, best picture, even though I know it won't win, but if I was the individual voter, it's what I'd be voting for. So you know what? Trial of Chicago 7 not only isn't my favourite film of the Best Picture nominees, but also my favourite film of last year, as for now. Anyway, ladies and gents, with that finishes off my ranking of the Best Picture nominees. Please leave your rankings down below. I'll be curious to see what you think. I know a lot of people aren't going to like me for my list. But yeah, then again, I would just like to reiterate, I really like all these nominees and I respect them greatly. This is the first year in a long time where I've liked all of the nominees. Last year, I didn't like Jojo Rabbit. Please Don't Kill Me. The year before that, it was Bohemian Rhapsody and Green Book. Year before that, it was Darkest Hour and The Post. But I just really like all these nominees, and it may be the best bunch of nominees I've ever seen in my lifetime, and that's really saying something. But with that, ladies and gents, thank you much for watching. Please feel free to click on my channel below and watch more of my videos. But until next time, ladies and gents, so long for now.